share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with recipe share. Recipe share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with recipe share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is It's a Wrap. I'm Katie, and as usual, I'm here today with Elizabeth and Beth to tell us about their recipes. So Beth, tell us what you chose today.
Okay, well, we had come up with this category months ago, so naturally I made a ton of wraps, and I ended up settling on the one I made most recently, which was just a couple of days ago. So I used some smoked turkey that, okay, truth be told, it was left over from Thanksgiving. It in the freezer. It wasn't freezer burned, but I chopped up this smoked turkey, and I was really trying to get away from the smoky flavor, and I managed to by using half a cup of blue cheese, and then quarter cup of Greek yogurt, quarter cup of mayo, some chopped fresh parsley, and a couple tablespoons of dried cherries. Oh, and I did add almonds too, sliced almonds. I forgot. I just kept like, nope, still taste the smoke. Nope, still taste the smoke. But I liked how it ended up with the sliced almonds, and it gave it some crunch. I've got a picture here of the ingredients I used. And also I want to show you, this is a unique kind of wrap that I'd never tried before. It's made out of a egg white. It's an egg white wrap. So we used it for that, but you know, wraps are just like the easiest. You can make anything into a wrap. So that was my wrap. But can I just say one other thing?
Of course.
And it was a recipe I put together, no biggie. Mm-hmm. But I just got this book out, Cooking at Home by David Chang and Priya Krishna. And I've just been really enjoying their methodology and how they, like, it's really for someone who is uncomfortable cooking, or it kind of validated our style. I know we all kind of have the same style where we don't measure and we switch things out. And that's really what his point is that don't get so caught up in the recipes. And it's all about whatever you have and whatever you like, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you don't like blue cheese, don't put blue cheese in this dressing, in this recipe. So anyway.
Well, I really like that. I like your recipe. I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome that you were able to get rid of that smoky flavor, because I can totally understand not wanting that and having the leftovers that taste like that. So it's pretty awesome that you were able to sort of transform that, because it can be such a strong taste. And I also just love the fact that it's sort of like a riff on like your standard chicken salad that's got like grapes and walnuts in it. Like it just sounds like that, but you've got turkey and cranberries. So it's like Thanksgiving. I don't know. I thought you did a really great job.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds super delicious. I would eat it in a second.
And I also was eating it right on a lettuce wrap too. So that was good. Mm-hmm. So I may have a picture of that. I don't remember, but we'll see. Anyway, that's a wrap for me. What about you, Elizabeth? What did you end up making?
Yeah, so I am not a big wrap eater. I'm not against them. I order them like what my classic restaurant order if I'm like out to lunch, chicken salad wrap. Love it. But I do not make them myself for some reason. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do for this, but I remembered that like in the 90s, my mom invented this thing that she called confetti wraps. Which maybe she didn't invent it, but there was never a recipe. But anyway, that's what she called it. And I thought that I had like copied the recipe down before I moved out of the house. So I went into my recipe box, and indeed I did. This is the recipe card. And so I decided to make them. And basically it involves ham, turkey, Swiss cheese, a hard-boiled egg, romaine lettuce, yellow bell pepper, red onion, cucumber, tomato, carrot, and then this called for Thousand Island, but I don't like Thousand Island, so I just use olive oil and vinegar, but sure, it'd be great with Thousand Island. And I put it on a sun-dried tomato basil wrap. And basically what you do, the confetti comes in, you just like chop everything together and it's like in a bowl. And you know, stir it up, drizzle it with the dressing, and then you put it in the wrap. And I have a photo here. I did not actually put the meat. I didn't cut the meat in. I left that whole, the meat and cheese, because I wanted to save some if there was leftovers, and I felt like it would be weird to have the meat mixed in with the vegetables as like a leftover. So anyway, you'll see in the photo here that the meat and the cheese is still in slices, but everything else is like chopped up small. And it's delicious. It's very colorful. I felt like it was like pretty healthy. There's a lot of veggies in there. You could totally mix up the meats. You could change out the cheese. Very flexible. I liked it on the sun-dried tomato wrap. That was a nice flavor, but you could put it on any, you know, I'm sure it would work on your wrap, Beth, or a spinach wrap or whatever. And it was super good. I liked it. I was inspired to start, like, I was like, this is such a good lunch. So I'm gonna make it again today because I rebought the ingredients, and it was super good. I'm gonna keep making it.
That's awesome. Sounds really good. There's a million ingredients in it. That's great. And I love the idea of chopping them all together. Like, that's really cool. I've never done that with a wrap. So that's something that I'll definitely try. And I'm so glad you found yourself a new lunch. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking about how veggie full it was, which is great. And I was also, as I do, think about our little toddler girl and one that's upcoming, but she's been getting into eating wraps too. Mom's been making those. So that's great.
Yeah, it was good. And you could totally leave stuff out. Like, I actually left out the red onion because I don't love raw red onion, but you know, substitutions, very flexible. But I loved how colorful it was, and it just like looked fun when I cut it and like put it in half. I was like, confetti. So,
and it's a fun name too. Like, I could see how she would have called it that for you as a kiddo, just instead of, you know, just a chicken wrap with veggies. Confetti.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So what about you, Katie? Tell us what you made.
All right. So similarly, you know, this is a very, very simple recipe. It's something that I make all the time though. So this is for rainbow veggie wraps. And I see variations of this recipe all over the place, in cookbooks, on the internet. This one that I'm sharing today happens to come from eatingwell.com. But just like your recipe, Elizabeth, like, you can change this in any way that you want to. So it's really super flexible. And I think that's just like, that's a wrap. That's how they are. You can put whatever you want inside of it. But so this recipe, you take your tortilla and then you spread hummus all over it. And then you it says thinly sliced cheddar cheese. I tend to use Colby Jack because that's my favorite kind of cheese. And recently I have seen these thinly sliced cheeses that are in circles. Mm-hmm. So you can find them. I saw them at Kroger, and they're shaped like the same size as a wrap. So they just fit your wrap. And it's kind of like, oh, you're being fancy, like buying the circle cheese, but you can also just use the cheese as your wrap. That's actually the intention, I think, of these. They're like cheese that you're supposed to, you know, that's the wrap. But I put it inside my wrap because it looks like it fits perfect. And I was just like, ooh. So anyway, you also put in some spinach. And then this calls for thinly sliced red bell pepper. I use jalapeno, just to give it a little kick. Broccoli sprouts are amazing on here, but you can use any kind of sprout that you want. Thinly shredded red cabbage adds an awesome crunch, along with some julienne carrots as well. I add raw red onion to this because I love it. So I always put that on there. And then you just roll it up and you can serve it with dressing for dipping and eating. They use green goddess dressing. I'm not a fan of that. And I think maybe it's just because I haven't tried the right one, but just haven't really liked that very much. I do love a spicy ranch though. So that's what I served it with. Surprisingly, the P.F. Chang's brand of salad dressing, their spicy ranch, is quite delicious. So that I had limited options and I was like, oh, I'll just try this. And it was really good. So they slice these into 1-inch rounds. I just cut mine in half, and I love opening up the little wrap and seeing how pretty it looks inside. So this is something that I make for myself for lunch on a regular basis, especially in summer, because everything is so fresh and it's so quick and easy to do.
Yeah, you're totally right. You can substitute so much in wraps and like invent new twists on them. And like, I was thinking that was sounding like at first, like with the cabbage and like the jalapenos, like I was thinking like, oh, that almost like sounds like the beginning of like kind of like a slaw, like that you could like make, you know, and it just sounds great.
I love putting slaw on wraps too. It's great. Like even if you just have a couple of slices of bacon and you put some slaw on there, good stuff.
You know, I just wanted to bring up, because you mentioned Elizabeth, and that sounds good. I mean, look how easy these kinds of dishes are, but I'm not a big wrap eater myself. And there's something about some of these wraps. I can't really put my finger on it, but when I was looking a couple months ago for just what other kind of wraps are there, there's even the smell or something does not sit right with me. I don't like them raw, so I have to cook it. But anyway, for whatever that's worth, I mean, like a flour tortilla, yeah, as long as it's warmed up, but I just don't like the raw wrap stuff. Now, in this case, the egg, you can warm it up, but I didn't last night. And anyway, it was good. But does that have anything to do with your not liking wrap so much, or?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. Like I don't love just a flour tortilla. That doesn't really appeal to me as like a vehicle for things. So I always want like that's why I use sun-dried tomato in mine. And then also, this is gonna kind of embarrass me, but I feel like I can't get enough in a wrap without it falling apart sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's still nice. It's a nice option.
Yeah, and they look really nice. Like that's what I was realizing when I was making mine, and I like cut it open. I was like, this is so like cute. So
yeah. All
right. Well, it's a wrap. Thank you all for watching Recipe Share, and be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about and to share your own in the comments. Join us next time when we'll be talking about recipes that make us want to rise and shine. We're looking forward to seeing what you've been making, so thanks for sharing.
Recipe Share, share a little recipe with Recipe Share.